What up? What up? This Ibn Webb, Quran, some here. Got official thanks thing situation going down here. Marcus Toney, those in the know, outstanding player, doing some coaching now, a lot of other things as far as with the game of basketball. But his life, expands beyond basketball. Obviously, growing up, what he's doing himself outside of sports or what have you here. Like I said, just flattered, like I said, just get opportunity to just connect with him. Met him once or twice, but obviously heard a lot of great things about him. We got some common folks, we both know. And like I said, just ready to just jump into it and holler at him, just chop it off for a sec. So just hold tight. You ripping and running, man. So I appreciate this, man. And you've been highly asked for it too. So to flag you down, man, it's cool, man. I have a few minutes with you, man. How's everything, family? Everybody good, solid, healthy, everything else holding up?
Yeah, everything good, man. First of all, highly asked for. I don't know why. I don't know why, man.
You'd be
the
surprised.
Guys you have on here, I marvel at. So
yeah,
I'd rather hear from them.
Same here. I know. Get ready for this upcoming season.
Yeah, we today was the first day of tryouts.
You actually have tryouts?
Yeah, today.
Damn,
tomorrow, Wednesday.
Yeah, times have changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at the Mac, I remember back then, it was no trials. I mean, they just had to nicely curve folks to get them off the team or whatever. Yeah, it was
you have to have it. I mean, it's state mandated. At every high school in the state, you already know pretty much who's gonna make the varsity team.
Right.
But you gotta have, especially with public schools. Like I feel bad for public school coaches. They had tryouts with like 80 kids, 100 kids.
Yeah.
At the Catholic school level, those kids pretty know who gonna make the team, but they come out anyway. Mm-hmm. So you're dealing with probably 20 or 30 kids, maybe max.
Okay.
Max. And that's for us, that's for two programs, varsity and JV.
Okay. How you guys looking? I got a lot of people coming back.
Nah, man, we graduated 6 seniors. Mm-hmm. And that was our team last year.
Okay.
So we got a couple transfers in. Mm-hmm. Only got 2 sophomores.
Okay.
A couple juniors. It's not very great right now, but as the season goes on, long as we continue to get better and compete, we should be all right.
And I'm sure that schedule is heavy too.
Yeah, we traditionally play a tough out of conference schedule.
Right.
I know this year we got 2 overnight trips. Played a team down in Delaware, team up in Connecticut.
Okay.
In addition to what we normally play out here, so.
I gotta find out that Connecticut team because that's where I'm at. I'm up in Connecticut.
Oh, you?
So,
I believe it's Connecticut. I'll tell you in 2 seconds.
When you get to it, but and I actually had to chuckle last year. I know I forget the young man's name, but when he dropped that 50 piece, I forget the young man's name.
Jaden Brown.
There we go. Yeah. So I'm like, I got my old man on. I was like, damn, somebody must have messed up the scores book one of my nights. I was hot because I think I was up there somewhere, but I had an old man moment. I was like, but I was happy. That was good stuff, man. And he did that. It was a home game too, right?
It was a home game. What was interesting about that was I love Jaden Brown, but he always was like gunning. Like he ain't never seen a shot he didn't like.
Okay.
The game after that, I think the next 3 games were tough games. I think we had to go down to St. Thomas Aquinas, then play Seton Hall Prep. Mm-hmm. And we didn't want him, or at that time, I didn't want him hunting for his 1,000th point during those games.
Yeah.
So it was like halftime of the game. I think he had like 16 or something, 17. And I go to Coach Jim, our head coach, and I said, look, man, let Jaden get his 1,000th this game.
Yeah.
He's like, he going to need about 30 in the second half. I said, don't worry, he'll get it. Mm-hmm. Just tell everybody on the team, passing the ball, and trust me, he's going to shoot it.
Yeah.
And that's really what happened. So that's why it was, especially for us, because we went into the game not even thinking this, and then halfway through the game, we said, forget it, do you. Mm-hmm. And everybody on that team, one band, one sound.
Okay.
It was making sure he got the ball, give him open look, setting screens, looking for him on outlets and kickouts, and he made the shots.
And you know that gym too. Once you get hot up in that gym, it's like an ocean, man. Like with that ball, man, everything dropping. Once you get hot up in that, especially in that gym.
Right, because you start shooting that thing from deep.
Yeah, and you know, immaculate deep ain't necessarily regulation deep. You know what I mean? Right. So nah, definitely, man. Nah, I'll probably say it later, man. But nah, just thanks for what you and Coach Solomon, you guys are doing over there, man. You know, like I said, y'all help keep them doors open, you know what I mean, and get people excited, you know, obviously about Immaculate. You know, obviously it's a unique place. So like I said, I appreciate it. Obviously, you know, I got a special place to me. So like I said, I appreciate you guys doing that. And especially when y'all came up a couple of years ago, y'all came up to the hoop hall. I went up to see it. I know it wasn't the outcome you guys wanted, but it was just, I know y'all playing bowl and those guys, man. Right. But for me to just go out there just to see the game and everything, I was like, damn, you know, they go from College Place to Springfield, Mass, to home of basketball. So it was cool to kind of just see that evolution. So I appreciate everything all you guys are doing. And I know the business of basketball, even high school, is crazy now. You guys either get in or get out the way. You know what I mean? So I totally get it.
Nah, we thanks for the support, man, because I didn't even know that. But the thing is, it's like, the basketball history at Immaculate wasn't rich. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And for us to be there now in our 7th year and provide the school with a flavor that's been consistent over the past 7 years, and for them to allow us to do what we do and just really get out the way, you know, it speaks volume, not to just us as a staff, but to the school, because you need the support.
Yes.
And the school, the business officers, the president, the alumni, the support has been amazing, and it makes coaching there fun. Yeah, and you want to be there. You want to be a part of it. You want to do more. Understand? So when we sending guys off to college, every year we sending guys off to college to play basketball. It just brings more attention and notoriety to the school. So, like in the case, like just last year, we had a kid who's our point guard. I'm begging schools to take him. Okay. I'm begging everybody, local schools, mid-majors. Nobody would take this kid. St. Peter's, Fairleigh Dickinson, nobody would take this kid. Wagner. He goes to Tennessee. Yeah. He had a great summer. Now Zakai Ziegler's at Tennessee. He had 18, what's that, last night, the night before, last night against North Carolina. Yeah. But this is a guy we couldn't get to go to one of our local schools. But he goes to Tennessee and played North Carolina. So it's just those moments that, as a coach, or for any player that comes to our program, it makes being at Immaculate special, because you can come, you can learn the right way, you can get better and develop, and then, you know, be productive at the next level. Nah, definitely, man. And it's amazing what only having 2 baskets you guys can do. You know, right? Yeah. Look, 2 baskets and essentially 4 teams, because we got a JV team and then the girls team. The girls, as a varsity and JV. Yeah. There's not a lot of time between 3 o'clock and 8 o'clock at night. That's right. That's right. Man, so like a day like today, we actually did tryouts 6:15 this morning. Yeah. You know what I mean? If they want it, they're gonna get their ass up. We gotta figure it out. We gotta figure the gym time out. Nah, definitely, man. But I'm gonna rewind a little bit, man, before all this coaching stuff, man. Like, you from East Orange, correct? From East Orange. Born, raised, everything? Born, raised to the death of me. Yeah. What part of EO you from? I'm from Downtown. That's where I grew up. My family from down the hill. Okay. 15th Street. Okay. Had family that lived in Little City. And that's it. That's where we were. We was in downtown Little City and 15th Street. Well, as a kid, normal childhood, as far as just with everything, activities, everything? It's normal as it's going to be for most inner city kids. You know, single parent household. You know, mom struggled. Yeah. Like I tell people, I didn't realize I was poor until I was like 20. Because we ain't have it, but she tried to do the best she can. That's right. You know, like my mom really didn't have a steady full-time job till I was 20 years old, till I was a sophomore in college. So she was always just grinding and hustling and bustling, just trying to figure it out. So growing up, you know, I found father figures in my coaches. Okay. You know, and that's really what it was. Either coaches or hell, even the people in the streets, like
That's
the
right.
hustlers,
That's right.
once they noticed that I was playing basketball, they didn't allow me to go left.
Yeah.
If I wanted to go left, what are you doing? They wouldn't let me go left. I mean, so I just had a different focus, and they recognized it, and they helped me keep going.
Now, is it just you and your sister as far as siblings? Or?
Yep. Well, me and my sister, my mom raised me and my sister. I have a brother, two other sisters, from my dad.
Okay.
But out of the five of us, I'm the only one that played consistently and longer. My sister played up until about her sophomore year of high school, something like that. But I was the one that actually played.
Okay. Now, there's all the sports and everything, and when did that jump off? Early? I mean, just playing around the way or later on?
It's weird because I was taking a kid home after a workout the other day. He actually lives in Dogtown. My mom still lives there. He lives near my mom. I said, man, when I was a kid, we played baseball on this corner. I mean, and he couldn't understand how we played baseball on this corner.
Yeah.
And I'm looking like, damn, this corner is small. Like, how the hell did we play baseball? But we figured out how to play baseball on a corner, and we had bases and everything.
Right.
And we really played like we was in the Little League because we all played Little League baseball. We played street football. When I'm on that street today, it looks so narrow, but as a kid, it looked so big. It looked like it has so much space. So I grew up playing in Dogtown, playing basketball, baseball, football. We ran track for the EO Striders. Me and Brandon, we got together when I was like 9.
Okay.
So we played Little League baseball together. We played Pop Warner football together. We played basketball together. Like things that kids don't do today, which is play multiple sports.
Right.
That's something in my neighborhood you took pride in.
That's right.
So when it was football season, you played football. You played street football. You played block versus block. You played Pop Warner, or, if you was able to play. When it was baseball season, you played baseball. You went to the park. You was on. I played for Salvo. You was on your local park baseball team. And basketball season, you just played basketball. You just stay active. And that's the one thing historians did do a good job of back then, was always having a season filled with teams. They had coaches that care, and that's what's absent these days. It's not, they don't have the same kind of programs going on for these kids.
Nah, definitely, man. What sport did you gravitate early on to?
Football and basketball. Actually, I love football.
Okay.
Like if you talk to the right person, they might tell you I probably was better in football than I was in basketball. But I like to believe I was equally good in both.
Okay.
I love football. I played my first 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year of high school. And then my sophomore year, we lost in the state championship to St. Joe's Montville.
Yeah.
But before that, Seton Hall Prep, football wasn't the shit, basically.
Yeah.
I'm saying we had 1 year with a whole basketball team. Pretty much everybody that's an athlete on a basketball team play football. And that year we was like 11-0. We won the conference championship, and we lost in the state championship.
Yeah.
But in that game when we played Montville, I caught an interception right before halftime and got tackled. I had a hyperextended elbow. I think that same year Brandon had tore his ACL. Had a wide receiver, Jeff Miller, had a concussion. The quarterback had a concussion. Like, it was that game, they hurt about 5 or 6 dudes.
Yeah.
And so, back then, the state championship coincided with the start of the basketball season.
Right.
So we had 6 guys not available to start the season. So Coach Farrell ain't tell us not to play football, but everything he said was basically don't miss tryouts.
Yeah. I'm telling you, but not telling you.
Right.
Yeah.
And after that, we didn't play football. We just kept playing basketball, and it was weird because in football, I still had like interest letters from like Michigan, Rutgers, Boston College actually offered. Like it was weird because I only played varsity my sophomore year for football. And because freshman year I played JV.
Okay.
And but now I love football, man. Like I got a real passion for that.
Now, what was the only 2 years you played organized football, or did you play growing up?
No, I played Pop Warner. I played for the Falcons growing up.
Okay. Okay.
When I played for the East Orange Falcons, I mean, we won a national chip.
What, down in Florida?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, like we played football like that. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. So.
Yeah. Then even with what position? I'm gonna guess. I don't want to assume, but I'm sure you was a receiver. I'm gonna tell you.
That's it.
Okay. And defense, what you like, defensive end, or what did you play?
Nah, in high school I was a free safety.
So you about 6'4" playing free safety?
I was a free safety. That's how I got the interception.
That's why I asked. I was just like, I didn't know if you had a tip at the line or something, but yeah, you.
Nah,
okay.
I was a free safety.
Okay.
I always had a knack for reading and reacting.
Yeah.
I mean, and I wasn't scared to come up and hit you. So.
Oh, all right. You lay the wood too?
A little bit.
Okay. Nah, good stuff, man. And even with basketball, you mentioned East Orange. Obviously, I'm from Orange, but I played little lads. I did all that stuff over in East Orange, so I'm familiar as far as like just like you said, just having something to do, every season here. So even like little lads, were you able to play that or any of that stuff? Or
I played little lads. We won that a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
I was never able to play small fry.
Okay.
Because by the time I was good enough, which is like 4th, 5th grade, I was too tall.
Okay.
So I never played small fry, but I always played little lads. And I just remember, like, we played against everybody, man. Down in, I used to come down to Trenton. That's what it was at Standard High School.
It'd be like Gauchos, Riverside, all of them. They come down.
Everybody came there, man. And when you think about some of the guys we played against, it was like, at that time, you don't even notice it or understand it. You think you're just playing basketball, but as time goes on, you start to remember, like, damn, I remember this guy when he was in 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
And in this tournament, we played against Puerto Rico. Like, it was always fun, and you look forward to playing in little lads.
Yeah, no, definitely. Then even with that, going to Seton Hall, I mean, anywhere else you thought about going, or you knew you was going there?
Heck no. I'm from Downtown. I thought I was going to Scott. Like,
okay.
I wanted to go to Scott. Like, everybody that know me that's around my age know I wanted to go to Scott. In my heart, I'm a Scotty dog.
Okay.
Know what I mean? Like, and Greg Tynes, I spoke to him when I was he did an excellent job. I was going to Scott.
Yeah.
My teammate at the time was Mark Curry.
Okay.
And his father, Mr. Curry, rest in peace, was a phys ed teacher at East Orange High. Me and Mark grew up playing with PPY. So the deal was he and I were going to go to the same high school.
Okay.
In 7th grade, I started working out. I don't even know how it happened, but Sandy Pignon from the Roadrunners.
Roadrunners, yeah.
I might have said his last name wrong, but he started working me out. And they found out, my coaches at PPY found out, it's like, yo, he trying to push you toward St. Pat's.
Yeah.
I didn't know nothing about that. So I stopped going to the workouts. So then something happened with St. Anthony's, Bobby Hurley. Like, I was oblivious to that. Like, I'm a kid from East Orange. I don't know. Right. I only know what's happening locally. What's happening in East Orange. Like, Newark really didn't matter. Irvington didn't matter. It was in East Orange. That's all I cared about. Like Kalal Jones, Andre Mahorn, like guys like that. So in 8th grade now, Mark Curry and I was like, yo, we're going to go to Scott. One day, Mark was going home from middle school, and he got jumped. He got beat up. Made it home. It wasn't bad enough. Guys jumped, just pounced on him a little bit. His father was like, my son ain't going to no school in East Orange.
Yeah.
So once he said that, it was like, well, guess I ain't going. At the time, though, Brandon Knight and Emil Mitchell were already at Seton Hall Prep as freshmen. We all played for PPY together. We're 4 of the starting 5 players.
Yeah.
And so Seton Hall Prep came into the fold. And by the time I started talking to Brandon, and it was just a better option with Mark, it was like, forget it, that's where we're going to go. So it wasn't nothing about me growing up thinking I was going to go to Seton Hall Prep or the history that it offered. Like, I kind of adopted that mantra, then it suddenly became my family.
Yeah. Now you get there because I know they had the whole. Was it even when you got to Seton Hall? They still had that freshman couldn't play varsity rule when you were there.
Yeah, but it was crazy because I was actually the second freshman to play varsity.
Okay.
McDonald played first back in the 80s, and then Coach Farrell was like, well, this is the last jersey left. And he gave me the jersey, and it was number 13.
Ira. That was Ira.
That was Ira's jersey, right? Yeah. So for me, it was almost nostalgic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I played JV. I played like 2 or 3 quarters JV. Then I would play like 2 or 3 to play varsity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so
yeah, that's the whole quarters thing too. You had to do
right.
Yeah.
So I would practice twice. I would practice JV, then I would stay practice with the varsity. So I was always up to speed on what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And one time, my freshman year, we played in the county final with the JV team because we were undefeated. Like our JV team was probably beat some varsity teams back then.
Mm-hmm.
From that JV team, the guys that ended up going to college, like I went high major, the other 3 were mid majors.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all on a freshman JV team.
Yeah.
And like that usually don't happen. But we won the county final, and then I had to leave to go play the varsity county final against
same day.
Same day.
Yeah.
So they rushed me out of there, and then and I ended up playing because I was the freshman that get in at the end of games mostly.
Okay.
I mean, get like a quick 6 points off dunks. Everybody go crazy. But in this particular game, we only beat Shabazz by, I think, like 2 or 4. And it was a tight game, so people was in foul trouble, so I had to play.
Yeah. Oh, that's a hell of a day for you, man.
Right. So I got 2 counties in the same day.
In the same day. All right, that's a fun fact. That's a fun fact. Question, even going to Seton Hall, how was basketball? I know it was a transition, obviously, but just socially, even though you next door in East Orange, it's still a different world, man. Like, you know, parochial school, I mean, everything else. I mean, structure. How was it?
Major difference.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm East Orange to the core, through and through.
Yeah.
The only white people I knew back then were teachers or administrators.
Okay.
Now I'm in school with them as peers and as, you know, fellow students. So that was different for me. I tried to get kicked out of Seton Hall Prep my first year.
Really? Yeah.
Like, I did not want to go. And that's how much I wanted to be at Scott. And, you know, when you're a kid, you're not thinking bigger picture. You're not thinking long term. You know, you're thinking for the right now. You want that instant gratification. And that's all I wanted. I wanted to be with my friends. I wanted to be where the pretty girls were. I wanted to be where I was going to start varsity all 4 years and have a chance to do my thing no matter what. That's what I wanted. But that wasn't what was in line for me. And I didn't recognize that then. So I was trying to get kicked out. I remember the straw that broke the camel's back for me is when I had it was a white guy who was on a lacrosse team, and he kept stepping on my blazer. So we had to wear blazers at school. I would put it on the back of my chair, and he kept stepping on it, but I could feel a stud.
Yeah.
Told him, yo, stop stepping on my blazer. He did it again. When he did it the 3rd time, I just turned around, picked him up out the chair, threw him against the wall, and just started wailing on him against the back wall. And then I told the English teacher, I'm leaving. I'm never coming back. I walk downstairs. I go to the dean of men. I'm not coming back. I don't care what y'all do. I walk out the front door, get on the bus, and go home. Because back then, Miss Knight used to take us to school.
Yeah.
And so I left. I got on the bus and went home. The public transport, 72, 73.
Transit right there, Northfield. Right. Yeah.
Yep. Jumped on that. Went home. My mother came home and said, what you doing home? I said, I'm not going back to that school. They don't like me. They racist, yada, yada. I started going in. So she's crying. And at this time, I don't care that she's crying. And I'm a mama's boy. But I don't care that she's crying about me going to this school. I'm like, I don't want to go there. You can't make me go. She gets on the phone and she calls Joe Jordan. So Joe Jordan was our coach with PPY.
Know all about Joe, yeah.
Okay, so he was one of the men that I look at to this day as a father figure. She calls Joe. And when Joe came right to the house, whatever she said to him, he came right to the house. Took me upstairs to my bedroom. Next thing you know, 4 years later, I graduated from Seton Hall Prep.
Yeah.
And that was the best decision I ever made in my life. Because the temperament that it gave me, the structure that it instilled in me, having to be in that environment with those certain group of guys,
yes,
playing for that coach, really set me up for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Nah, I could tell. And even that example you gave of my man, and then obviously just, again, being, 14, 15, like, and mom, to you saying mom just scrambling to make ends meet. And then, just having Joe just, whatever he said to you, and like you said, you got back to it. And you don't think about it later on. It's like, it's these life skills we learn as we go. We ain't thinking about that till we look back and reflect, as far as how to navigate through different places or what have you too. So I appreciate you even sharing that, even with hoops, man, and like sports and all that stuff, all this parallels life. All this parallels life.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
So
definitely.
What people miss, even with me being at Immaculate, they think because kids go to Catholic schools that they come from money. But being at Immaculate and knowing my situation at Seton Hall Prep, because it wasn't just me. Like, I know a couple of my teammates and my friends who were struggling, who parents didn't have it. You understand? We still have public school issues. We probably didn't have them at the level in which the public school has to deal with, because there's way more of them.
Yes.
But we had those issues. Like, I remember days, like nights going to bed hungry. But I didn't use that as my way to act out.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, tomorrow here. You know what I'm saying? We just handled it different. But the structure that Seton Hall Prep provided me for where I was, and I wasn't a wayward kid. I wasn't bad, but I definitely needed some fine tuning. I definitely got that Seton Hall Prep. I'm not sure, and no disrespect to Scott, I don't know if it would have gave me that structure that was necessary, because I probably would have been allowed to do what I wanted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And for a kid like me, that's not what I needed.
Right. Every individual is different. I mean, to your point, every individual is different. And you get going. Obviously, you talked about football a little bit, sophomore year, the States and everything else. Y'all fall short to one of them Bergen County powers. But even with basketball, though, you get going, man. Like, when did you realize kind of with yourself here, like, I'm kind of nice. I'm kind of nice.
Honestly, like, people that, and nobody tell you Marcus always thought he was nice, but honestly, man, I didn't think I was getting good until like 7th grade.
Okay.
8th grade, I said, oh, all right, I'm gonna be all right. Because that's when I first heard like I was the best 8th grader in the state, right? I said, oh, all right. And then my freshman year, freshmen don't play varsity, but now I'm on the varsity team.
Yeah.
I mean, I win a county championship. I win a state championship. We in a TOC final. I'm playing in that game.
Yes.
As a freshman, you know what I'm saying? Then as a sophomore, I'm the 6th man. We win another county, another state, and we're in a TOC final again. I'm playing in that game.
Yeah.
Toward, I want to say, the middle of my sophomore year is when I knew that I was coming for everything.
Yeah.
It was I can't tell you the game or the moment, but I just knew at that time, because after that high school season and I roll into AAU, now I'm killing.
Yeah.
I'm playing with the players, and things are just lining up. Like, the players get introduced, I'm playing with them. I'm playing with a USA team that goes over to France, and that's my first time on a plane at that time.
Yeah, wow.
So I'm 16, and it just seemed like the basketball guys are just lining things up. State championship, trip to France, successful AAU season. So going into my junior year, And having like the leadership with Brandon Knight and Emil Mitchell, I'm a junior now, and they seniors, but this is our PPY team.
Yes.
I mean, the first 2 years we did it with, my first year was Ryan Peterson, Frank Drea, Steve Ashardi. My sophomore year, it was like Brandon was the guards, but Mike Everett had transferred over. He played. A guy, Roman LaMega, was still around. Jeff Miller was still around. Like, we still had pieces, but our junior year was our PPY team. That team was all East Orange. And that's what did it. That team is probably the best team I ever played on.
Yeah.
Right. It's the best team in school history. Like,
you know you're about to start something with that one.
Nah, they can argue with whoever they want to argue with, like, hands down. No other team could take away, because they didn't do it. Yeah. They ain't win a TLC. Like, they don't have. I got 4 counties. Brandon got 3. Like, they don't have that. You know, so regardless of who played where after in high school. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we finished number 4 in the country my junior year. I think we was 3rd in the country my senior year.
How magical was it starting off that junior? How magical was that run?
That run was crazy, because our only loss that year was to DeMatha.
Down in Maryland. They lost down
by 6. We played them in the Myrtle Beach Classic Championship. Okay. They had like Keith Bogans and Joe Forte and them. Lost by 6. And we knew those guys from playing on the AAU circuit. I mean, once we came back, and this is something that people don't know, once we came back from that loss, our next loss was in that same tournament my senior year, but to Oak Hill. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't lose in Jersey for 2 years until my senior year when we lost to Camden. Now, I mean, so when people start talking about teams and dynasties and this and that, like, I was really on a team that won like 50-something straight games in Jersey. Now, I mean, that really, we got 4 county chips. Now, I played in 3 counties. My senior year, I broke my foot. But, like, I was on that team. Like, the teams I played on, and I like the word team. Like, it was never about me. I might have been an integral part. But the teams I played on, I don't know if the history of Seton Hall prep teams, it's a landslide. Like the 93 or the 92 team is definitely better. Nah.
They ain't finished the deal.
Yeah, like it ain't that clear cut. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was going to be a war. It was going to be a war.
Now, obviously, you mentioned the AAU circuit and everything else. Like, obviously, this recruitment and everything. Like, how do you start handling all this? Obviously, you might have had some people to lean on, or did you have people to lean on just with that whole process?
Man, honestly, my guidance came at that time really from Jimmy Salmon. Okay. That's one of the parts in my life where if I could do it over, I'd have done it over. But for what happened, I wouldn't trade it in. Okay. You understand? Because I didn't know. I was just going with the flow. Coaches was calling Jimmy a lot. I mean, they call my mom a lot. They call my girlfriend at the time a lot.
Then they got the girls number 2, huh?
I remember being on her porch, and Florida State called her. I mean, and she was talking to them. You know, I didn't find out 2 years later that she was like, yo, if you would have picked Florida State, I would have went, because they was going to bring me in.
Take care of you, bro, yeah.
She like, I didn't want to tell that to you to add more pressure. You know what I'm saying? It was weird. Like even with Seton Hall, what people don't know is the volleyball coach told my girl at that time, that volleyball coach was, because my girl played volleyball.
It's the same girl. I mean, I know you're a star,
Same
so
girl.
I didn't know if
This is the same girl. It's the same girl.
Okay,
Same girl. Same girl. They was gonna give her a volleyball scholarship. She was good. I don't know if she was Big E's good, but they was gonna give her a volleyball scholarship. All she had to do was graduate high school in Jersey, and then in her senior year, she ended up having to move to Texas.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, so that never happened. I had already committed. I mean, that didn't have nothing to do with the basketball team. I think that was just the volleyball coach at that time trying to help out. You understand? But everything was just happening so quickly, man. Like, so when I see these stories with these kids and like the money and the offers and things like that, like I remember those days.
Okay, yeah.
I remember those days. So I remember at one point, like I told Brandon, and you know, I'm coming to Pitt. Things happened so fast. Pitt was no longer an option.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And at ABCD, on the first day of the recruitment period, I had announced I was going to Seton Hall.
What was it about Seton Hall?
They was going to take me and my boy Eddie Griffin. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
I had it all figured out with Eddie, with Rashid Dunbar. I mean, and myself. Like that was the three. Like that's what it was gonna be. On the way to a tournament, the day before we left for a tournament, Rashid gets into an accident that pretty much stops his basketball playing career. Okay. I mean, he was in a coma and the whole nine.
Yeah.
And Rashid was a bad man. He one of the best high school dudes I ever played with and or against. He was one of the only middle school guys putting up 40s and 50s in middle school. Like it was nothing. You understand? But he gets into that accident. He can't play basketball. So now I got to find somebody else to get in the mix. So that's when I had started talking to Andre Barrett. I knew Andre since I was in 7th grade. Okay. We met at a UMass basketball camp. And I went up there with, I don't know, Mr. Rozier. Rest in peace to Mr. Rozier, man. But people that are from East Orange, you know about PPY and the work he's done in North. I mean, Roger Rozier is a stand-up dude. And he took me and his sons. He got triplet sons. He took us to this UMass basketball camp. And that's where I met Andre Barrett for the first time. So I always saw him on the AAU circuit over time. And then we got to high school. He played the AAU team a little bit. But, you know, we're in the same circles. When you get to a certain level, like the top guys, you're all in the same circles. And, I started talking to him about coming to Seton Hall. I said, look, man, like you come, I know I get Eddie to come and it'll all matriculate. And long story short, after I committed at ABCD, I was able to go get Andre Barrett. He committed. And then we convinced Ed to commit. That's how that came together. We had a 4th scholarship, and 5-Star had a tournament out in Staten Island called the 5-Star Challenge. And it was like the best AU programs, like in one place from across the country. And the 3 of us was actually watching this kid, Damian Frey, play. And he was just dunking everything on everybody. And we was like, we want him. And then we just went back to the coach and said, yo, we want Damian. And they said, okay. And that's how we added Damian Frey to the mix. And that was the 4 freshmen. Yeah,
and then also, obviously being close to the crib, I'm sure that might have played a little part to it too. Or...
Yeah, but no, it really was a whirlwind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, and once the smoke cleared and the dust settled, it was more like, you know what? Hometown. My mom is here. She get to come to all the games. And my friends are here. It was like me, like the feeling I wanted for going to Scott. I was the neighborhood kid, the hometown kid. I wanted to play my neighborhood high school. I got that feeling in college. I get to play for my neighborhood college.
Was there anybody else? I know you mentioned Pitt. Was there anybody else close to getting you? Or
man, like I said, like the way it happened, you know what I'm saying? And I can't, it just happened so quick. Like,
yeah.
The schools I like, I don't even know why I like DePaul.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's because of Clyde Bradshaw, but I always to this day had an affinity with DePaul.
Okay.
I actually liked Clemson,
mm-hmm.
and I liked Florida State.
Okay.
What people really don't know, a lot of people don't know, is as a sophomore, I committed to UMass.
Really?
And
is this the whole camp thing while you was up there? Or?
Nah, because the camp was in 7th grade.
That was okay. Got you.
But that's when I met Calipari and all those guys, right? But as a sophomore, my cousin was playing football he was the cornerback at UMass.
Okay.
So I used to go up there every weekend. And
it's a party school that I do know.
Listen, see, it's part of the story. It's part of the story.
Yeah.
So I used to go up there every weekend. And this year they won a national championship, Division I AA championship. Mm-hmm. So as the year went on, they was winning, more people started coming out. The basketball coaches started realizing that I'd be going to the football games. So now they started setting up a tent like everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, right outside. So every time I come, I'm with those guys. Somehow, at one of the games, me and Charlton Clark start kicking it. Mm-hmm. Right? Charlton, I think, played at St. Ray's. But he went to UMass, right? So now I catch a train to unofficial to hang with Charlton. Mm-hmm. Right? Now they call it the Club X.
Okay.
Right? I think that was like the student union building or whatever. I go to one of the parties. I'm having a time of my life.
Yeah.
I come back home. I stay with Charlton. I come back home. I go back up the following weekend for a home game. And at this time, they had a recruit on campus, Raheem Lamb. Mm-hmm. He was on campus. My cousin that was with me takes me to the restaurant where they was hosting this recruit. And I started vibing with the coach, started vibing with the recruit. When it was over the next day, I said, yo, I'm coming here. And they said, you sure? I said, yeah, I'm coming here. So they called Jimmy Salmon and was like, yo, you know, Marcus just committed. And he was like, no, the fuck he didn't.
Yeah.
And he had to talk me out of it. Like, yo, you can't make statements like that. Not at this point in your life. Yada, 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 yeah. Mm-hmm. So during the whole recruiting process, UMass always had a chance. They always had a chance because of my dealings with them going to see my cousin play football, but then the love that they showed once I was up there and things like that. So UMass always had a chance.
Interesting, man. But we at the hall, man. You down there, man. Big East, everything, man. Like, how was it? I mean, I know this how was it?
It was the best conference in college basketball. Mm-hmm. Night in and night out was a war. And man, my first year, which, you know, gets a lot of publicity for probably the wrong reasons. Mm-hmm. I mean, if Coach Amick could do it all over again, I think he would have coached us differently or stayed another year. Mm-hmm. I don't think he would have left after our first year. But the schedule we played, like we played Duke, we played Kansas, played Michigan State. Like, what else could you ask for on top of your normal conference schedule? Mm-hmm. You know, when the Big East was the Big East, like those are the things that kids home right now, when they turn on TV, that's what they're looking at. Mm-hmm. And that's what people was looking at in us, man. And we were preseason ranked number 8. We had the best incoming class in the country. We had the number 1 recruiting class. So it was a high expectations. Yeah. And, it wasn't the right time for the kids the other players that were on that team.
Okay.
We come in with this star kind of power. Mm-hmm. People was waiting on us to get there. But this is also a team that just came off a Sweet 16.
Yeah.
So I understand their side. Their side was like, why are you so focused on the freshmen when we just came off a Sweet 16? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're like, subconsciously, we don't have nothing to do with that. We just here to try to win. Let's just try to make this thing work. But it never got off to a good start. From the time we arrived on campus, it never got off to a good start. And as the season went on, you kind of saw little things creep into play that would affect that. So we start off preseason number 8. And I think we might have one loss. We might have had one loss and no losses going into the Illinois game. And I say the Illinois game because that's what really started the snowball of this things getting out of control.
Okay.
Because we already had periods where, because we used to play at Continental Airlines, the arena.
Right, the Meadowlands. Right,
the Meadowlands. So we would have to take a van there or a bus there. So when we got on a van, you freshmen, you get there early. The upperclassmen, guys that played on that Sweet 16 team, they would look in the van, see that it's us, and then go to another van.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In a locker room, like they kind of stayed to themselves, and then we was to ourselves. Our team was divided from day one.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy Amaker, who was my guy at that time, either didn't recognize it or want to recognize it. Because he even wanted to do Midnight Madness. He wanted all the freshmen and anybody that sat out to be on one team, and then the upperclassmen to be on the other team.
Mm-hmm.
We would have beat them by 40. Like, that's how much of the talent gap was. You know what I mean? And he, like I said, I don't think he recognized that.
Okay.
So because he didn't recognize that, then Midnight Madness, now you start to play the games, and we see the dissension between us as a group. So Tyshawn and I, we're cool now, but at that time, we felt like he was selfish. And in the Illinois game, we're balling. We up 20 Illinois, Number 18, starting 3 freshmen, we up 20 in Illinois. At the end of the first half, I poked the ball away. Eddie Griffin picks it up, passes it to Tyshawn. Me and Eddie running the floor. At the end of the half, Eddie and I are basically standing under the basket with like 3 or 4 seconds left. Tyshawn pulls up and shoots a 3. He missed. We're going into the locker room like, there go that selfish shit again. They ain't passing the ball, yada, yada, yada. We're upset because it's been a pattern of just selfish things.
Yeah.
Long story short, they come back and beat us in overtime. We blow the 20-point lead. Frank Williams started being Frank Williams. Brian Cook asserted himself. They end up beating us in overtime. That was the game that kind of highlighted everything else moving forward. And we never recovered. And then the culmination was the Georgetown game where we notably got into a locker room brawl, basically.
What set that off? Though, just everything just kind of just reached its peak.
It reached its peak.
Yeah.
And we're at Georgetown. I forget the play call, but Tommy Amaker, he had us running this pick and pop play.
Okay.
Tyshawn come off the pick, throw it back to Eddie. Let's get Eddie going. First time he called it, Tyshawn turned the corner, tried to score. Next time he called it, came down, turned the corner, passed to Darius Lane. Timeout. Ty, run this play. Throw it back to Ed. Eddie looks and goes, if you don't pass me the ball this time, you're going to have to see me. Third time we run it, come off. I don't know what he did. He ain't throw the shit to Ed.
Yeah.
Game over. We lose that game. Tyshawn is first in line to shake hands. Eddie's second. I'm third. We go through the line, shake hands, shake hands, shake hands. Ty walks off. Eddie starts walking closely behind. Now, I know Ed. If Ed tell you he's going to do something, he's going to do it. So I'm not trying to bring any attention. So I'm walking behind, but not as fast. Jimmy Thomas at the game, he goes, hurry up. Because he saw Ed's face. Like, we already know. So now we get into the back hallway and I start running. As soon as I get to the door, I hear Ed say to Ty, "So what's up?" And Ty said, "It's whatever." As soon as Ty said whatever, I opened the door and Eddie slugged him. Bang.
Mm-hmm.
So I get in the middle and I try to separate Ty and Ed. Kevin Wilkins, rest in peace. Kev, he ended up becoming a Atlantic City police officer and cleaning his gun. He ended up shooting himself in the car. I mean, he's on like his first and second year on the job, but he came and punched me in the face. So I'm in the middle. I turned, he stole me. Now me and him fighting. I hit him back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and Ty back at it. Coach Hill come running in there. He the first coach in there. "You want to fight, Kevin? Hit me, hit me." He takes off his jacket. Now he ready to fight. Now the whole team is in there. Everybody pushing and punching.
Yeah.
When it died out, you saw the freshman or whoever sat out on one side, and then everybody in that Sweet 16 team on the other side. And that's literally what our team was all year. Divided.
Mm-hmm.
They had 2 locker rooms in the MCI Center. I mean, 2 shower rooms in your locker room. Okay. So they showered on in one, and then we showered in the other. And we got back home because I think we took the train down there. So we took the train down, got back, got on a bus. I'm still from East Orange.
That's right.
So I called the homies. Like, yo, dudes just got into a fight in the locker room. So-and-so put his hands on me.
Mm-hmm.
Meet me at the school. So when we get back to campus, now Jim had already knew that I was going to make a phone call. Mm-hmm. Because when Kev hit me and I defended myself, I hit him back and we scrapped it. But I had a shiner. Like I had no donut, but I had like a lump.
Yeah.
Like he really hit me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because I was trying to break it up. I wasn't fighting. But now you made me fight because you put your hands on me. So he's calling me like, "Don't do it." I said, "It's too late, Jim. He should have put his hands." I didn't want to hear nothing. Mm-hmm. He should have put his hands on me. So the bus come in. As soon as the bus come in, like 3 SUVs pull up behind. And Jim kept calling me. I wouldn't answer. So he started calling Tommy Amica. Mm-hmm. So Tommy Amica, once the bus stopped, he stood up, he looked at me, and then he looked outside the bus. Yeah. So he knew Jim wasn't playing.
I knew what time it was, yeah.
Right. So he made us sit on the bus about 45 minutes. And then Jim called me back and said, "Yo, Marcus, if you do this, you'll throw everything away." Mm-hmm. I said, "Jim, he shouldn't have put his hands on me." So it kept us on a bus. I think he called Tommy back. Tommy ended up calling a team meeting.
On the bus?
No.
Okay.
In the locker room.
Okay.
So now the players don't have to walk past the bus to go to the dorm. They have to walk backwards. They had to go around in front of the bus and go to the locker room. So we ended up having to go to the locker room for about an hour. Now, I mean, so I ended up having to call a dog, basically call the dogs off.
Call the dogs off, yeah.
I mean, but their life was hell. Every time they went to Norton to go shopping, like I was still holding on to that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because now it wasn't about being teammates. Now I got to treat you like somebody in the streets. Mm-hmm. If you put your hands on me. And I don't take pride in that. That was just a real occurrence. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, if I could do it over again, I would, but it helped shape the person that I have become.
Yeah, it's interesting even sharing that. A lot of things with that, man. You late teens, early 20s, with these young brains, we ain't fully developed. You know what I mean? We still got them instincts from around the way, like ball or no ball, scholarship, no scholarship. Like we're gonna take care of things. But to your point, obviously, to Jimmy and Coach Amica, man, for them to kind of, they knew what time, like, let this thing die down, man. Like, you regardless of your future, you probably, chances are what you would have got kicked off the team and everything else. And then you had to go back to moms, and moms looking at you like, throwing their hands up. I mean, just disappointed. And I always say, like, I love my mom to death too. I'd rather have my mom mad at me than disappointed in me. That was always my thing.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah. So they knew what it was, and Jimmy was your age once too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I think just teaching you a lesson and teaching everybody. So I totally get it, man. So how was practice even with that? Like moving forward the rest of the season, like y'all still had to play together.
It was all touchy. It wasn't that many games left. I mean, we ended up going to the NIT, and we lost to Alabama at Alabama.
Yeah.
By like 6, and that was the story of our season. We would never win. We got a lot of close losses, but you got to be a team. You got to be a band of brothers in order to win those kind of games, and we could never do it.
Yeah.
So there was only a couple games after that Georgetown game. Was probably like just a few left for conference play. We played the Big East tournament. I think we lost to Miami or somebody. We won like 2 games, then lost.
Yeah.
And then we lost to NIT. So it wasn't a lot left, but tension was high. Like, tension was so high over that situation that in my sophomore year, my cousins, like the Sigmas, had a party on campus. My cousin was going to Bloomfield. But his Sigma homie saw me as like their little brother.
Yeah.
This was so the following year in the fall was their first time seeing the guys that the upperclassmen that we got into the fight with.
Okay.
So they chased them out the student union building trying to beat them up. Like it still has some carryover, even though like there was no fight and things like that. But it caused so much commotion that Seton Hall stopped. You couldn't have a party on campus. My whole sophomore year because of that. But when I went there, we was number 4 party school in the country. Sophomore year, they said, nah, no parties because of they broke the doors to the student union building. They was cursing people out, throwing chairs, trying to get to my teammates from what happened before. So the carryover to that really didn't help with Coach Orr coming in. But once that shook itself out, my last 2 years were solid for what Coach Orr wanted.
Yeah, and then even playing with Coach Orr, former NBA player, everything, like this how was that for you? Just to have, I mean, again, you've been around NBA guys even before then, but just obviously to have that at that point in your life with everything that just went on, to have him there, like, how was it to have him there?
A gift and a curse. It's like the best of both worlds.
Okay.
Because, and I say the best of both worlds because even in what I thought was a tumultuous situation with what happened the end of my freshman year, then having him come in and he and I not getting along. I say it was the best because I found out so much more about me as a person than I did a player. And I needed that. I mean, when Coach Orr came in, I was actually excited because when he was at Syracuse, he recruited me. So I knew he had familiarity with me. But so when he got there, I felt like I'm one leg up. Understand? When he got there, his first conversation with me was, you can't play on a baseline like that no more. Basically tell me, but that's where I used to finesse on a baseline. I knew how to work the baseline, whether it's from a post or from a drive, from a mid post. I knew how to play on a baseline, but he didn't want me to do that anymore. So that's kind of like the first thing he did to rub me wrong.
Okay.
We never got on a good track my sophomore year after that point.
Okay.
We played the first game of the year. We're playing at San Francisco. And I'm playing well. After what happened last year, I was playing well. I think I got I don't know if I had 9 or 11, but it was early in the second half. But then he kept taking me out, putting me in, taking me out, putting me in. And the last time he did it, I just walked past him like, don't touch my hand, because I didn't understand like what you was doing. Mm-hmm. It didn't make sense to me. And at the end of that game, we get on the bus. I'm like, yo, I'm just trying to, and we talk. I'm just trying to figure it out. My first game, just trying to figure out lineups, yada yada yada. I didn't care about none of that because of what I already had gone through. Mm-hmm. So for me, it ain't nothing to figure out. Play your best dudes. But it never matriculated into anything good. Okay. With what I thought should have been happening. For me, this is me being selfish, as a sophomore, versus what his plan was as a head coach at a Big East school. Mm. So we bumped heads the whole time.
You consider bouncing?
Absolutely. I was out. Mm-hmm. I was out. And at the end of my sophomore year, at this point, I think I was thinking about going to St. Joe's.
Okay.
I had a teammate down there. I was thinking about going to St. Joe's. I couldn't go like to Pitt or anything because it's in the Big East. Mm-hmm. But I went into his office unannounced. They was having a coaches meeting. I just walked in there and I just said, "Yo, I'm gonna be the captain of your team." And he said, "Prove it." And the next 2 years, I was the captain of the team. And in that sophomore year, going into my junior year, because I found out more about who I was or who I am, who I was becoming as a person, mm-hmm. I actually got into my spiritual life. I started, to read the Bible more, ended up becoming a Christian, mm-hmm. like fully. And I'm saying to understand the spirituality of things. And my last 2 years was more about me sacrificing myself for the betterment of the team. Right. And ultimately it fit what he wanted, mm-hmm. as opposed to what I thought it should have been. Mm-hmm. And as the team we had success.
Yeah. Then even all that going along and transformation, basically growing up. You're growing up. Now post-college, during that time, are you thinking like what I'm doing next? Obviously you're getting that education as well too. Like, are you thinking about your next steps? I know ideally, folks like the league is on people's mind here, but some people might be having other plans. I don't know.
Well, when I first started playing, I never played basketball in the beginning to go to the league.
Okay.
But I was playing, then Joe Jordan came to me and said, "Do you want to go to college?" I said, "I guess." He goes, "Well, it costs $200,000 to go to college, and your mother doesn't have it. So you mm-hmm. should play basketball so you go to college for free." Mm-hmm. That's why I played.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like my junior year where I felt like, wait, I think I might have a chance. I even saw mock drafts when I was a senior that had me in like the end of the second round.
Okay.
I'm saying, so that's when you really start thinking about pro. Mm-hmm. But it was so easy for me that the mistake I made, I never put the work in.
Okay.
I didn't really start working on my individual games toward my senior year when it was time to go be a pro. Mm-hmm. So when guys was going to the gym and doing their workouts and getting their shots up and all that, I wanted to be at the party. I was with my girl. I was playing video games. I was with my friends. Like,
yeah,
I wasn't in the gym.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So everything that I did in basketball came off playing in the park, in somebody's practice, mm-hmm. in the backyard with Brandon and Mr. Knight and mm-hmm. all of us. That was it. There was no you working on your craft. Like, I just played. And I had success doing it. So for me, it was like, why change? And it wasn't until the end of my senior year where I said, damn, I gotta work.
Yeah.
Like, I want to make some money. I gotta put this work in. Mm-hmm. People start catching up.
That's right. That's right.
I'll never forget, and this is, Coach Orr might deny this, but I'll never forget this because I just graduated and now I'm playing in the Nike Pro League over at Pro City in New York. Mm-hmm. I'm playing with Queensbridge. Me and Ron Artest are teammates. And at this time, Queensbridge haven't been to the playoffs since like the mid to late 90s. Right now, it's the summer of like 2004.
Okay.
So they ain't been in the playoffs. I'm with Ron. Me and Ron just know each other from playing against each other, but we don't really know each other. First game of the year, I hit the game-winning shot. It was a play for Ron. I didn't pass it to him, so I shot it. We win. People, they knew who I was, but it was like, oh, all right, he looked Ron off. They probably thought I was crazy because they, I mean,
yeah.
But it gave respect from Ron to myself. So now, for the rest of the season, he's deferring to me, or he's asking me what I think and things like that. Like, I'm playing well. It's like, this was our show. At the end of every game, I would always go back to the school the next day and I would work out. We had one particular game where we in the semifinals and Ron don't show up. He's stuck in Houston. So I'm mad. I'm like, I done bust my ass to come across this bridge all year and he ain't gonna show up. Well, I ain't playing. I don't give a fuck about this league.
Yeah.
It ain't like y'all paying me to come over here. I ain't do all this just for us to lose in the semifinal. They're like, yo, calm down. You gotta play, chill. Yeah. Long story short, I played this semifinal game. They taught me to play, and I had 50. We win, right? And we played against, I forget who was on the team, but like Smush Parker, Kenny Satterfield, like there was a bunch of guys on the other team.
Okay.
We win this game. So now I'm at the school again the next day, working out. At the end of every workout, I always go up to the coach's office. I say thanks. I say what's up, check in, and then I leave. On this particular day, as soon as I go upstairs, Coach Orr goes, don't come in here talking about I held you back. I ain't say nothing to you, Coach.
Yeah.
The first thing he said to me, don't come in here talking about I held you back. That was enough for me. That was enough for me. And it was at that moment where I felt like he knew that he might have messed up because the assistant coaches after that kept saying, yeah, I told Lou you could play. We used to tell him. You know what I mean? But it's never too late. That's probably the vindication. That's probably the thing that I needed to hear.
Right.
And it finally came. But all it did was make me work harder, you know, over the next 4 years while I did have opportunity to play professionally.
Right. And even with that, I mean, you made a few stops too, internationally too, right?
Right. So actually my senior year, the day before we left for the tournament, I tore my thigh muscle. So by the time it healed, because I barely played the NCAA tournament because I had a torn thigh muscle, literally. Because we were supposed to fly out. We didn't fly out because of the snow, a blizzard. We practiced. Instead, I tore my thigh muscle. We flew out and then we played. So normally you would have had like 2 days at the site to practice. We had the 1 day. I mean, so in 1 day, I was trying to rehab, do everything possible just to get on the court because I don't work this hard. You know, I deserve to be on the court. So I did everything I could to play in that first game against Arizona. And then when I got on the court for that Duke game, I might have played like 3-4 minutes. Like my thigh muscle was gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so by the time it healed, I missed the pre-draft workouts. So the only team that really to invite me for any workouts was the Nets. So I did that in the summer. They invited me back that fall to free agent camp. Made it through that rookie camp. Made it through that, and I thought I was gonna have a chance, like because I was balling. This one they had like Ron Mercer, Rodney Buford, and those guys, and I was balling. But they ended up taking this kid named Arvie Story, who was the teammate of Eddie House.
Okay.
They had just bought an Eddie House that year. And that was his teammate at Arizona State. So they ended up keeping him to like November, December or something. They let him go. But after I did that, with the Nets, I went to the DR. Twice I went to the DR. Then after the DR, somebody from Japan contacted the Nets. They had like some kind of connection to Japan.
Okay.
They said, yo, we had this kid, Marcus Toney Allen. That's how I ended up going to Japan for 2 years. I was third in the league in scoring out there. And the DR was first. And then in Japan, in my second year, I didn't like the way the team was being run.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a team with David Benoit that played with Utah.
Utah, yes.
Nah, man, and he was a low-key hater. Like, I have no problem saying that publicly. And everybody knew it because it was his team, but then he got hurt. And then when I came and I was playing well, the love that they was giving him, they gave to me. So he started telling, like, the owners, like, Marcus doing drugs, he doing coke, he doing
word.
Like, I mean, because my translator would come back and tell me. I said, bro, drug test me. I don't do drugs, period. Like, I drink, but none of the shit he talk about.
Yeah.
So I felt like the general manager started acting funny toward me because he was the NBA player. He had the NBA tag. He was there before me. Know what I mean? So mentally, I didn't want to keep dealing with it. And Japan got a rule where if you don't report to your team and they don't release you, you can't play in that country for a year.
Okay.
So I wasn't going back to that team. And they would not trade me. They wanted to keep me, but I didn't want to deal with mentally the GM who's believing a guy who I know is trying to sabotage me. So I left and I went to Australia. And when I went to Australia, I was out there for a year. And then when I came home, that's when I tore my patella tendon.
Ooh, yeah.
So that's ultimately what shut me down.
But even with that, man, you got a chance, just brother from East Orange to see the world.
Yeah. I mean, when you
maybe
think
not
big picture,
how you want it, right? Yeah, maybe not how you wanted it to end, but yeah, you got to get some stamps in that passport,
right. Right. The kick is the day I hurt myself, the day I tore my patella tendon, I did it in a summer league game at campus.
Okay.
That morning, I had just accepted a deal to go to Israel, and I left IHOP because I was on the phone with my agent at the time. Accept the deal, send the papers over. When I finish my game, we'll sign them. On the way to the game, I'm calling my mother. I'm telling her, I'm gonna take this deal, go to Israel, and she's, don't go to Israel. Don't you know what's going over there? Yada yada. I said, nah, it's gonna be all right. They don't really mess with the basketball players. You're in a safe environment. And she's pleading with me not to go to Israel. I go play that game, and I tear my patella tendon.
The irony of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I haven't played competitively since. Like, I tried to come back and play. I did a whole year rehab. Actually played in Pro City. We won a championship that summer, but I wasn't able to play every day. Okay. And mentally, I didn't want to go through another year of trying to rehab my knee to be able to play another year. I mean, to be able to play every day. And it wasn't until, so I toured in like August. I didn't stop playing. I didn't retire until like the following November. Okay. Because I tried to give it a go, but just wouldn't happen for me. Yeah.
Did you have anything lined up? I know you got into coaching and the whole education piece.
At that time, I had nothing. It was basketball.
Yes.
It was just basketball. And it's crazy, but when it happened, and mind you, like, I was, at this point in my life, I was spiritual, but I wasn't going to church like that. But I did open my heart up to God.
Yes.
As soon as it happened, I said, God got a plan.
Sign. Yeah.
And it was weird because I never had that thought before. But as soon as it happened, I said, God got a plan. So I did the whole year of rehab. I came back to that November. That's when I shut it down. I started coaching AAU in March.
Okay.
No. I'm sorry. I was already coaching AAU. While I was rehabbing, trying to get back to playing, I was already coaching AAU. I shut it down in November. In March, I get a call asking me if I wanted to coach in college. And not to say anything, and I ended up being at Philly Dickinson that August. Okay. So it was such a quick turnaround. November, I stopped playing, but I was already coaching AAU. by August, I'm the first assistant at a Division I school.
Mm-hmm.
Did that for 3 years. Ended up being the associate head coach. Then after I left FDU, I took the head job at North 13th Street.
Mm-hmm.
Did that for 2 years. And my goal has always been to get back to college coaching.
Okay.
And when Jimmy took the job at Immaculate, I left being the head coach at North 13th Street to come be his assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been there for the past 7 years now.
Now, where you at on that college trajectory as far as?
Well, at this point, I'm not as eager
Okay.
to do it as I was.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like over the past few years, a lot of coaches missed the opportunity to bring me in.
Okay.
And I always felt like, if I'm going to get in at this point, it's probably going to be one of my friends. Because technically I am older. I mean, but the part I understand is I still got reach. I can go to every high school in Jersey, every AAU program in Jersey. My name checks out and people still respect, what I say with regard to the things that should happen. So I for the life of me, I couldn't understand why a college coach wouldn't want to bring me in. Hell, even I tried to get on my own staff at Seton Hall 4 times.
Really? Yeah.
And that's never happened. So I feel like if it's going to happen, I'll cross that bridge when it gets here. At this point, like right now in my life, I'm not chasing to beat that door down like I was.
Okay. Even with all this, man, like sports, what has it given you, man, that stuck with you to this day, that sticks with you rather to this day?
Man, like right now, because I left teaching, and right now I'm a site manager for a security company.
Okay.
And our site is up at the Meadowlands racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
And as the site manager, I find myself just really coaching adults.
Yeah.
I mean, teaching them and showing them how to be teammates, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's in my professional life. Basketball has offered me so many different life experiences that I apply from a basketball practice, a coach mentoring me, to how I move in my everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
I just got married back in April.
Congrats, man.
Thanks, appreciate it. Me and my wife could be in the middle of an argument, and I'm pulling out a basketball reference. I'm saying, like, see, this is what you do when you got a team. Like, and I always relate everything back to sports. It's either basketball or Jay-Z. Like, somehow I'm gonna get my point across using both of those.
Yeah.
But it allowed me to see the world. It has allowed me to meet so many people from so many different places and backgrounds. It opened so many doors that if I didn't play basketball, I'm not sure if I'd be able to open them.
Yes.
And I don't take any of that for granted. I just like the fact that I have been unapologetically me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe it's rubbed anybody the wrong way. But I know I've been transparent. I've been honest. And I want to be able to give back everything that was given to me from the guys that I looked up to.
That's right. And plus, you want to look in that mirror and not have to put your head down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm my toughest critic.
Okay.
I'm my toughest critic. Like, people will tell you, like, I don't like talking about basketball, like, because I don't feel like it went the way I wanted to go or the way it was supposed to go. So I don't even like talking about it. But like, you got a story, and I'm like, yeah, but there's always a yeah, but.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said, like the first thing you said, I'd rather listen and hear from the other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I marvel at those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as they might like or marvel about the way my career panned out, I really marvel theirs. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't score 1,000 points in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I broke my foot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I played 13 games my senior year. And I try to put this in perspective for guys. Like, I played the garbage minutes as a freshman. I was a sixth man as a sophomore. So I really only started my junior year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I only played 13 games my senior year.
Yeah.
but I got 986 points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying I got like over 600, 700 rebounds. Like, I had a career that many would want to have when you got 4 county championships, you got 4 state championships, you've been to the tournament champion finals 4 times. Like, those are things that people would love to have. I played in the Big East. I've been to the NCAA tournament. I've been to the NIT. I played overseas. Like, I got paid to play something that I love. You know, I get paid to coach something that I love. These are things that people that play would love to do. And I look at it as it still wasn't as complete as I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So my passion for coaching supersedes that as a player, because I don't want these kids to miss out on their dream because of something that I didn't do, which was put the work in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I know I ain't put the work in, but shit, it wasn't too many people that did put the work in that was actually better than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was, I mean, so it was like, that was the conundrum I was in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but when I see other guys and I hear their stories about how hard they work to get to where they are, or the guys that had the success and the glory, I love reading or hearing about them.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, they're the ones that really did it. Because they had to work to get to the success. And they could sit back and look at it. I almost feel like God gave me an ability and I took advantage of it.
Yeah.
I misused it, so to speak, because I didn't capitalize on what he had in store. And now I had to find a different avenue to further please him, which I'm doing. I'm so happy about how my life turned out. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my life is good.
Yes.
My life is good. I think if I was a pro, an NBA pro, I don't think I would have touched the kids or the people the way that I do now. I'd much rather be in the circles that I'm in touching these people than dealing with they have to deal with as NBA guys.
Yeah, a lot more red tape. Tape.
I love being accessible. I love for people to just pick my brain and come to me and want to figure these things out. And that to me is really what this is all about. It's about the give back. And I've been fortunate enough to give back, whether it's through my camps that I do, the training that I do, the schools that I speak at, the random people that just want to talk and ask for advice.
Yeah.
Doing your podcast, whatever it is, man. I truly just want to get back. And I appreciate the opportunity to do that each time.
Nah. Good stuff, man. I know, gave me a few minutes of your time, man. You got a few more minutes for me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, man. Well, congrats on the marriage. And this is my dry humor in me. You mentioned Jay-Z, man. Hopefully you didn't have Hove as like your wedding song or nothing, man.
Hopefully I didn't.
Hopefully he wasn't. I'm saying your wedding song. Hopefully your wedding song wasn't nothing from Hove.
When the doors opened at my wedding, allow me to reintroduce myself.
Okay.
PSA play, public announcement. As soon as the doors open.
All right, that's what it is. Yeah.
That's what I walked down the aisle to.
Okay. Yeah, so let's go fire. Put you on the spot a little bit before we ride out here.
On the spot.
I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick.
So does that require me to think?
Nah, just whatever. Nah, not at all.
Let's try.
Let's give it a go. Up in the whip, man. Parkway to Turnpike.
You said I'm in the whip, Parkway to Turnpike?
No, if you're in the whip, you're a Parkway or a Turnpike guy.
I'm depending on where I'm going. I'm a Parkway guy.
Okay. Sandwiches or White Castles?
Sandwiches unlimited?
Sandwiches or White Castles, right? Or White Castles.
No. The spot.
Yeah, sandwiches unlimited, right?
Oh, that's not even close. Sandwiches.
Okay. What you getting?
Oh, you gotta get the Italian cheeseburger.
What you got on it?
Onions, ketchup, mayo, salt, pepper on the fries.
Oh yeah, you're not playing.
Nah.
And speaking of cooking, man, I heard you like to cook here, man.
Hey, man, pull up on me. I'm gonna have fried turkey on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Like I do my thing, man. Chicken parm, Cajun pastas. whatever you need, man. I do it. My specialty, like if I got one go-to, I feel like I got a world-class spaghetti.
Okay.
My sauce take about 4 hours.
Oh, about 4. Okay. Oh, all right. You really in it, man.
Yeah.
Not playing. Not playing.
And it's crazy. I didn't grow up cooking. I had to learn. I actually learned how to cook in Japan because I wasn't in the sushi yet.
Okay.
So I had to learn how to cook. And I remember the first time I tried to make fried chicken and it looked done. It was bloody as hell on the inside. I remember calling home and having my mother on the phone trying to tell me how to do it.
Yeah. You're not playing. Basketball's been a big part of your life, man. So, like, what do you do outside of basketball? I know you mentioned cooking. Like, what else you just kind of get down with, man, just to remove yourself from it?
Man, it really depends on the season. Because, like, right now, everybody knows on a Sunday, I'm watching football.
Okay.
Don't check for me on a Sunday. I'm watching football. Don't like that's because I told you I love football and I'm a huge Giants fan.
Okay.
Huge Giants fan. So and it's crazy because I love basketball and I'm a Knicks fan, but I'm a bigger Giant fan than I'm a Knicks fan. Yeah. Like you see, I'm a Knicks fan. Like this my brand, right? Elite Experience, right?
Yeah, I see the colors, right? Yeah.
The Knicks colors. But I'm Giants all day.
Yeah.
I'm Giants all day, man. So in my free time, if I'm not playing basketball, honestly, I'm with my wife. You got to do a couple things.
Okay.
But even she knows, like I enjoy my time by myself.
Yeah.
I like watching the news, reading the news. I like researching because I was a history teacher, so I like researching facts and things like that. I just like to be knowledgeable, man.
Y'all having kid talks?
Yeah. So, the plans to do it by my birthday. My birthday is February 8th. Okay. So I got some time, and I'm like, but I want to travel this summer, but I also got to we got to start life, so.
Yeah, nah, I was late too, man. Like I said, I got 7-year-olds, so I started late too.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so there's hope for me. There's hope for me.
Yeah. Nah, definitely, man. What I know you said you used to like going out, being at Seton Hall, at the university that is. I mean, where was you going? What was your spot to go to?
Oh shit, we went to Cryans. There was the spot Union we used to go to.
Okay.
Shoot. But shit, my dorm, we called that Club X.
Oh, you didn't even have to go anywhere, okay?
No, that was Club X, but yeah, a bunch of college parties, man.
All right. So Seton Hall Prep or Seton Hall University?
Damn. For different reasons, but Seton Hall Prep changed me.
Okay.
Seton Hall Prep changed me.
At any level, man, best game you ever played in your life? At any level. Anything stick out?
Shit, I just told you I had 50 in a Pro City game.
Okay.
I had 63 on Belgium. But honestly, the best game that I played, I think I only had like 16 points when we won that tournament of champion finals, man.
Yeah.
You can't beat that. You can't beat that. Because no matter what happens in life, I don't care if you're an NBA pro of 20 years, you're going to always have a high school basketball conversation.
Yes.
I don't care where you are. You could be at North Carolina, Duke, Kentucky. You're going to be talking about high school basketball. And that team I played on, myself, Mark Curry, Brandon Knight, Emil Mitchell, Tyrone Barley, Robert Sullivan. That was the best basketball moment. That was my best game. My best game was when the best team won the ultimate championship in Jersey.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Who's who's your hardest guard?
Ask Melo.
Okay.
Ask Melo. Melo, and it's crazy because somebody like, you bugging, but Preston Shumpert, when I had to guard him as a freshman, was like trying to guard NBA guys was trying to guard Reggie Miller. Okay. That was tough. The next toughest, though, because I didn't get my ass kicked, the next toughest was Carmelo.
Mm-hmm.
But he'll tell you that too.
Yeah.
And a quick little story is when I was coaching at FDU, we had an assistant coach with us called Chris Brickley. Chris Brickley right now is one of the top basketball skill developers and trainers in the country. Like he's on NBA 2K6. He got to deal with Puma. Like he's the it guy for NBA guys right now.
Okay.
So he started at Fairleigh Dickinson when I was there. Started working out J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith get on with the Knicks. Before he got with the Knicks and J.R. and all that, I was telling him, like, yo, man, one of the toughest guys I had to guard was Melo. I said, when we first played them, in the first half, he had 14 points.
Mm-hmm.
Coach put me on in the second half of that game. The second half of that game, and then the next time we played them, so that's 3 halves of basketball, he scored a total of 21 points.
Yeah.
I mean, so I told Chris this when he was with the Knicks, but when he was at FDU. So when he with the Knicks, he ends up working out Melo, and they get a relationship going.
Mm-hmm.
So they out to lunch one day, and Chris was just talking to him about, they was talking college basketball in the old Big East. And then Melo says to Chris, man, the Big East was tough, man. Like, the toughest dude I had to play against was dude Marcus Toney. You know him?
Yeah.
And Chris, he said he lit up because at that point he knew I wasn't lying.
Right.
But then to hear Melo confirm it,
mm-hmm.
Was big for him. But
mm-hmm.
for me, like I try to tell guys, man, like it ain't just him. Like a lot of these NBA guys that make it, they all know other guys that were good enough to make it.
That's
for
right.
whatever reason, it didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? And every time I see Melo, it's all love. You know, and he was probably one of the toughest people I had to guard because of his size. And not for nothing, he was actually stronger than me. When I was a junior, he was a freshman, but he was stronger than me. You know what I mean? But to have to deal with that size and that release was tough.
Yeah. You already answered this one, obviously. The best team you've been on, that senior hall prep team. That was the best
absolutely.
team.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know you had like Wardell and Brevin. Like, if you get Ira, like, I don't care who you get. And I already know what they're going to say, but there's nothing that they could tell me about their team being better than our team because they didn't get it done.
Yeah.
They didn't get it done.
When it's all said and done. Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, that gold ball, that first one, was on that 99 team.
Yeah. But is there a game that you'd like to get back if you could have got it back?
A game? In college, Villanova missed 2 free throws. One was an air ball. The other one like hit the front of the rim.
Yeah.
And then Nova gets it, calls timeout, and ultimately Randy Foye ends up hitting the game-winning shot, and that kind of like propelled him.
Another Jersey boy, yeah.
I mean, to what he was going to do. So if I could get that back, I would get that back.
You mentioned some of them senior hall guys here. Your top 5 senior hall players, senior hall prep, from senior hall prep.
Top 5?
Top 5.
Myself, Brandon. I'll let you tell me the other 3.
Nah, that's this you. I don't got anything to do with this.
Top 5.
You Brandon, you got 3 more. Any positionless. It ain't gotta be a certain position.
Man. The Gibbs brothers will fight me. Brandon Costner will fight me. Probably Brandon Costner.
Okay.
Brevin and Ira.
That's 5. All right, give you one coming off the bench. Who coming off the bench?
Who coming off the knot? Shit. Steve Ashardi, the best shooter I've ever seen in high school. But he couldn't play defense. Ashton got nuts.
Damn. All right, we leave it like that, man. We leave it like
damn. Give me Pick one of the Gibbs brothers. Give me one of them.
One of the Gibbs.
Give me one of the Gibbs. I'll take any one of them three.
You the best to come out of Seton Hall?
Seton Hall Prep?
Yes.
In my mind, absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't think of nobody that would stop me from doing whatever I wanted to do. And I say that affectionately because we got some studs. Put it like this. Bob Farrell wouldn't let us score 20 in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So my year on down, even back to Brevin and TJ Whitaker and them, he wasn't really letting you score 20. If you got 20, you had to come out the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So when guys like Brandon Costner and Gibbs, they put up these huge numbers. Like I scored 30 once in high school.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I probably scored 20 like a handful of times. Like he wasn't letting that happen. And we didn't play in the fourth quarters.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like those guys, they had to play in the fourth quarter. They wasn't getting the business done early enough. You know what I mean? That's why they had to score so many points.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but Seton Hall Prep has a rich history, man.
Yes. Yes.
Honestly speaking, I don't think there's a best ever to come out because we were all great for our time.
Right. Right.
And the way that we played there, you had to embody the team aspect. So I think with a school like ours, it's always best to talk team because that's how we think. That's how we operate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like nobody was trying to be the guy to get the 30 balls and the 40 balls and all that. That ain't the culture.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So do I think I'm the best? Absolutely. Like, I'm supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's right.
Realistically speaking, I don't think you could, at a school like ours, you can't measure it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was just so much in place. Like I said, we didn't play fourth quarters because we was blowing everybody out. If you scored 20, you knew you was coming out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And he didn't like showing up the opponent. So he wouldn't play starters, those kind of minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You done seen a whole lot of high school basketball, man. Who's best high school player you've ever seen?
The best I've ever seen?
Yeah.
Shit. It's either Tim Thomas and DeJuan Wagner.
Yeah.
No. The best only in Jersey?
Nah, you could say Jersey if you would say nationally after, but Jersey.
It'd be them two and Eddie Griffin. Those three is 1, and 1.
Yeah.
Like ain't no 1A, 1B, 1C.
1, and 1. Yeah.
1, and 1. And I don't care what order anybody try to put him in.
Mm-hmm.
I play with Eddie. He was a triple-double, put in the books.
Mm-hmm.
Tim was a triple-double.
Yeah.
Like he was doing things at his size that guys eventually became.
Yeah.
DeJuan Wagner he just scored, It was so effortless.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had the opportunity to at least play on the same team as all three guys.
Okay.
So my perspective is that of a teammate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and Tim was older and we played, but we wasn't like in a war. But being in the trenches, I was with Eddie and Wani.
Mm-hmm. And he got his son right now too.
Baller.
Yeah.
Baller.
Yeah.
He ain't his daddy. That boy good.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't his daddy.
He ain't his dad.
He ain't his daddy. But that boy good.
Yeah. Somebody who should have made it at how you want to define made it at whatever level.
But Brandon Knight didn't get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He should have had a longer look. He's one of the most overlooked guys that I've been around.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Andre Barrett should have had a longer stint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those two guys.
Yeah.
I was happy to see Ira do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, those two guys come to mind instantly.
This one, not necessarily basketball related. 3 of the best moments of your life so far.
The best moments of my life?
No, three of the best. It don't necessarily have to be the best, but 3 of the best.
Oh, 3 of the best.
3 of the best.
Shit, I just got married, my wedding day.
I was about to say, if you didn't say that, you know, your wife got ears. She got ears.
Nah.
Yeah.
My wedding day,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. That was one of the best moments of my life. When my high school team got inducted into the High School Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And three of the best. College graduation.
Yeah.
My college graduation, I was the first member of my family to graduate from a 4-year school.
Yeah, that's real, man. That's real. What's the best part about being Marcus Toney?
I get to be me. Mm-hmm. The best part about me is I get to be me. I get to be funny. I get to be caring. Mm-hmm. I get to be an asshole. I get to be knowledgeable. Mm-hmm. The best part about me, honestly, is being able to communicate with people from all backgrounds, giving everybody the same respect, mm-hmm. showing the same love, and nobody feeling left out. If you're around me, we're all inclusive. I'm an all-inclusive person.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to feel special because I want people to know that they are special. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. I think that's the best part about it.
Right. And at this point in your life, what advice would you give that 17, 18-year-old senior, Marcus? What advice would you give him?
Don't take this for granted.
Yeah.
Don't take this for granted. Like, everything was easy. Mm-hmm. Everything was easy, you know, and I'm taking it for granted. I just thought it was going to always be there. It was just going to always happen because I was Marcus Toney L. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And though it didn't affect me like it does other people, but I also realized that had I done more, I would have got more. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But the way my life is the way it was supposed to happen. Because now the story that I do tell, I can relate to everybody on every level.
That's right. That's right.
And I'd rather be able to do that than be in the trenches. And for me, that's the win-win. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And I'm cool with that.
And my last one, man. What would your mom say about you now?
What would she say about me now?
Yeah.
What would my mom say? Of course, she would say she loved me.
Yeah.
And I'm a baby. Of course, that's the natural stuff. But she would say he did it his way. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Most people know, because I can be stubborn. I mean, most people know that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. And chances are I probably won't do it on my terms. Mm. Yeah. But I like Frank Sinatra, I did it my way.
Yeah. Or the whole version.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. Right. That's right. Man, Marcus, I appreciate this. Like I said, I know we was playing a little cat and mouse, but just for you to take a few minutes out of your life just to share a small window of your world here, man. Like I'm greatly appreciative, man. Like I said, obviously I know the town, I've heard about it, you know, probably got to see you play once or twice here. And then even obviously more recently with the whole coaching stint at Immaculate here, obviously I keep an eye on the box scores and everything else. And when I'm in town, I try to, you know, I catch a game if I'm able to. But all in all, man, just things obviously I didn't know about you, man, and just things you've overcome here and stuff that whoever listens to this could just know, don't take things for granted. But in the same breath, you know, while you're able to just flip it and, you know, obviously make it work for you as far as what you're doing now and taking those lessons and not only being a coach, you're educated, you know what I mean? As far as, you know, teaching and you're teaching as a coach as well too, but also being in the classroom as well too. I mean, I can only imagine the countless lives you don't touch and going to continue to touch here. And I don't know what God has planned for you, but whatever it is something great here. And it's great what you're doing now. And I look forward to it. I mean, I like it to tell a lot of people, man, you're just getting started, you know? So I'm looking forward to, you know, how this book of yours ends. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot more chapters to go.
I appreciate that, man. Stop trying to make me tear up, man.
Nah, man, I ain't trying to tear you up.
I want to thank you for being patient, man, because like I said, if I give somebody my word, that's all I got. They said it's Scarface. All I got is my word and my boss.
Yeah.
And I don't break them for nobody.
And
I gave you my word in the summer. And
yeah, absolutely.
You tracking me down to me trying to track you down because I wanted you to know that it was that important for me to keep my word.
Nah, I appreciate it.
So you provided a platform, not just for me, but for countless other guests that you've had to tell a story. You know what I mean? And some people, you know, they don't get a chance to tell a story, and people don't get a chance to give them their flowers for the great things that they've done. You know, and things like this become archives that people can always, you know, refer to and say, yo, remember when? So the thing that you're doing is really the greatness in all of this. The caveat to it all is that you have the ability to reach so many people, because as you grow, your network is only as good as the bond that you have.
Yes.
So people are only going to work with you if they know that you're a solid guy. So for you to be able to reach as many people as you did, it just speaks for us about who you are, because like many of the guests, you don't know us. We don't know you. You know what I'm saying? But we're comfortable. We come here, and it's a blessing to be in a position to give you something that people might actually want to listen to.
Yeah.
So thank you for providing this platform.
Nah, definitely, man. We got to break Joe down too. I've been trying to get him. I've been trying to get him on. Yeah, I've been trying to get him on. We got to break him down.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah. I got to break him down.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Let me see something.
Yeah. No, I've already reached. I've poked at him. I've poked at him a couple of times, but
what did he say?
You know, he dancing right now, but we'll get him. We'll get him.
All right, man. I was about to call him.
Nah, we'll get him. We'll definitely get him. Yeah, but obviously, man, look forward to good luck this upcoming season. And again, I don't know if it's too early. I don't even know if the schedule's out yet. So you guys come up this way. I know you said you might be in Connecticut.
Yeah, so, I'll shoot you a text. I got the schedule. I'll shoot you a text.
Okay, but definitely best wishes you and Coach Jimmy this season, man. Look forward to you guys, man. And in general, man, like just link up or whatever. When I come in town, man, try to find a window, grab a bite or something, man.
Listen, holla at me. It's on me. This number is never changing.
Okay.
And so whenever you're down here, just hit me and I'll make myself available.
All right, definitely. I'm going to hold you to it, dog.
I'm dead serious. It's on me.
All right, we'll go from there, man. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, no doubt.
Peace.
Good stuff, man. Marcus, great guy. Like I said, just appreciate you taking some time out. Know he's hectic running around, what have you here, man. But just to see a little bit of his world and just share a little bit things obviously I didn't know, but it was just kind of good to just actually, you know, have a conversation with him, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. With that, I'm just going to slide on out. I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.